Okay. Good evening. Welcome once again. I had an earlier broadcast. I think there was a problem with it. So, welcome. We are talking today first about the political morality that should inform a Republican democratic constitutional order. We spoke yesterday about this act called the Reconstruction of State Indebted Insolvent Companies Act. And only today we are seeing another form of thinking as expressed by General Chiwenga. What is General Chiwenga saying? Most people may not be able to really understand what he is saying. But I thought we can just start with a small video that we just play, just to hear what he is saying in short. Because even generals have a peculiar way of understanding the state and the government. So,
exposed by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Head of State and Government and Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, Comrade Robert Gabriel Mugabe, and I quote, "Zimbabwe will never be a colony again." Unquote.
So he is saying, quoting the president, that Zimbabwe will never be a colony again. When did the issue of Zimbabwe being a colony come to the fore? Is it because of Mnangagwa, or because there is some other threat, or the context in which this matter is put on the table is in this binary that the Liberation War was against imperialism and its vestiges. And therefore, this is an attempt by foreign powers to be able to reverse the gains of the revolution. What did Mnangagwa say when he was rebutting Professor Moyo's own submission to the Politburo? Some will recall that he said Jonathan Moyo is actually an agent of external forces. So if the version of the First Lady wins and is sustained, it means Zimbabwe is on the road to neo-colonialism. Yet, the irony is the British government officially supports Mnangagwa as the successor to President Mugabe. These are the two positions that we see. Chiwenga says, no, the G40, to the extent it exists, is actually a creation of the West. And he has a duty to protect the Republic from recolonization. And where does the president stand? Because both groups are claiming the president is their patron. Chiwenga was actually clear in not venturing to criticize the president and the president's wife directly. Safe to say that the president has been captured by agents of external forces in the circumstances. Chiwenga is saying, if ZANU-PF falters, the nation falters. Therefore, elections are irrelevant in that construction. Stanley Mafoshola Nyoni, welcome. Mercy, welcome. Thank you for being the post box for Mr. M. From Mr. Mushana. It's good, but we are missing your comments, your sharp comments. Mercy, they are required now more than ever. Samuel Muramba, welcome. Brian Kaswa, welcome. Padla Bride Maposa, welcome. Ken Matenga, Chiwenga correctly put it, because ZANU-PF is a ruling party. We need to dissect that, because if we don't understand ideas, then we may be tempted to give life to ideas that really serve only one purpose: to confuse and conflate issues. ZANU-PF is a creature of law. It is a body corporate. It is a juristic person, incapable of being owned or having the properties of a natural person. ZANU-PF without the people is not ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF is, as a creature, a human construct, actually is not capable of being defended. This issue is really something that we need to understand. Chiwenga says any instability in the party will impact on the social and economic lives of all Zimbabweans. Again, ZANU-PF is a tent that only accommodates members. It does not have tentacles that can possibly accommodate the universe of Zimbabwean citizens. Marshall Chidao says, Mdara Murise, I'm okay. Brian Musekua, welcome. Itai Tawona Mchemwa, how are you? Evans Mshanga, I think there's a hidden agenda, probably of splitting ZANU-PF into two. I don't think there is any agenda apart from an issue that still has to be settled. Is Zimbabwe a democratic state, or is Zimbabwe a state that is under the control of the liberation idea? There are two versions. I think the war vets, inclusive of Chiwenga, genuinely believe that the people who liberated the country should be crystallized as the permanent custodians of the country. So this is the way they think, that actually Mugabe must be a leader of this class of people, diminishing though, but still with characters in and out of government. Those who are out presumably are promised to be in following the exit of Mugabe, which because of age and presumed health, he is too old, and even his sanity is being challenged even by Chiwenga. Chiwenga is saying the president that they were with in Mozambique, who has presided over this gravy train, which has seen him transformed into a businessman with uniforms, in uniform, that this president ought to belong to these people. So there is a real ideological split. Having staked their positions that anyone other than a former liberation stalwart must get into State House, it follows that the president married a wrong wife, that the president ought to be divorced politically from his wife because she is alleged to be a loose cannon, a person who has wielded power without any mosquito bite. So the first lady is the one they are attacking as the bridge to a confused state of affairs, where the president no longer is able to comprehend, as they claim, that his source of power is the war veterans, that he owes the war veterans, whereas Mugabe has steadfastly maintained that the ballot replaced the bullet. There is no more bullet in 2017. That's what President Mugabe seems to be subscribing to, while at the same time acknowledging the role of the war vets in this project called liberation. Sekele Lubinda, this guy sounds very uncoordinated and confused. Does he smoke nyaope? I guess, Sekele, you mean me, that I'm uncoordinated and confused. Perhaps I'm confused because the facts unfolding in Zimbabwe actually are more confusing than anything. We are forced to comment on a statement that is unprecedented. This statement was made by the head of the military, and he is making this statement in his capacity as an employee of the people of Zimbabwe. He was wearing uniform in government offices, not at the party that he claims to be concerned about. He has been employed as such for the last 37 plus years by the Zimbabwe National Army. One would assume he took an oath to serve the Republic, not the party. Yet the statement itself seems to suggest that there's a blurred area between the party and the government. One doesn't know where the party ends and where the government begins. Be that as it may, it is very clear that there is confusion because the army, the war vets, seem to think that they possess some intellectual property as to how the future of Zimbabwe should be shaped and defined. They go further to say the character and personality of this republic post-Mugabe has to be reflective of what they want, not what the people of Zimbabwe want. Those who are excited about the elections, BVR, what Comrade Chiwenga is saying, slow down. This is a new address that we are taking you to, where nothing will happen without the consent of this special class of Zimbabweans. These Zimbabweans were led, if Mnangagwa was still vice president, it is clear that this statement would be redundant, obsolete, non-existent. This statement only arises because of the subtraction of Mnangagwa from the ecosystem. When Joyce Mujuru was given a red card, no press statement came to the fore. People have alleged, including the First Lady, that there seems to be a conspiracy in motion and that her husband was under threat because he's a stumbling block to an alternative narrative that should place Chiwenga in some form of civilian government. And he has come out in the open that actually the only change that took place, precipitating this sense of agency, this sense of disorder, is the dismissal of the former vice president. Apart from that, there is no other cause of action. He didn't state so, that his cause of action was the dismissal of Mnangagwa. He was silent on that. I think tactically, it wouldn't have made sense for him to then say the relief he seeks is to reverse a decision already made. But it appears that the relief he seeks is actually to stop any impending dismissal of other members of the party. So it would appear that those who stand to lose may have mobilized and lobbied people like Chiwenga to say we are under fire. Either they've disowned themselves from being part of the Mnangagwa faction, which means they want to do something. Vladimir Nazarov, we need more people like him, people with balls. That's one version. And Pablo Murukopi naye vakuru to South Africa. Ayenzo Mondi, good question. Itai Muchemwa, which way now Zimbabwe as the military has spoken. If you read carefully, listen carefully, what is Chiwenga saying? He is not saying he's seeking a reversal of any decision. All he's saying is that no further, according to him, unwarranted dismissals, disciplinary actions should be pursued. And Bright Maoko, under the control of a mafia or junta, I don't believe that what is being said, because you see Chiwenga also pledging allegiance to one commander-in-chief. And it would appear that it's actually an appeal. And he's pleading for no further action. And he's also asking for the fumigation of this Mafikizolo or G40. That is a label that has been given to all those who seem to be in the opposite camp in terms of the divide. Anatolia Rufungura sharing, Judith Ongwe, Pane Panu. This is just an arena to talk, to observe, maybe to exchange ideas on the events that are taking place in Zimbabwe, not with a view to changing them, because we are not party to the mind that informs the decisions. All we can do is observe and sometimes hallucinate, pontificate, imagine, speculate, and possibly trying to see where the wind is blowing. Lemukani, Mathe, Grace must stop meddling into politics. She is abusing her first lady status. I think even General Chiwenga could not say those words, but implicit in the words that he used, it would appear he is saying the president is no longer the person that they knew or they think they know. And they are alleging that the change or transformation has been induced by external forces, not by his trusted lieutenants who are in the army, in the police, in the defense, in the security structures. Had they been consulted, I think it is self-evident that they are saying the decision to dismiss the former president, Vice President Mnangagwa, would not have been made. Then Mtandazo Due is watching, welcome. Bangure Donwell watching, welcome. Kenneth Musarurwa, good point. Tatenda Mabungu, Mr. Mawere, there is no difference between you, Mujuru, and Mnangagwa. You only complain that ZANU-PF is bad because you're no longer benefiting from the looting of the country's resources. I guess if you know what you are saying, just provide the facts. There is no disability on your part. I've never worked for the government, so you are free to say the resources of the country have been compromised by this or that action, and that benefiting from the party, as you allege. I think it's a good question. Frame it as a question so that it can best be answered. If your issue is that all the people who have been associated with what you call a ZANU-PF as a living thing must not have the right to say anything in public or private, and that this forum ought to be reserved forum for people like you, say so and act so. In fact, nobody would even force you to give up your time, give up your mind to make utterances that only serve to advance what may be in your mind anyway as a ghost. That you see the ghost of Mujuru, Mnangagwa, even myself, looting from this country. And I wish I knew what the country is and what its belly is. And when you are looting from this creature called a country, what would that enterprise look like? Perhaps that tender, you can share with us your understanding of looting. We are here trying to understand something that other people may benefit from, because the idea of a general issuing a press statement that deals in matters that fall outside the four corners of what is employed to do, because he is an employee of the government of Zimbabwe. And he can only be in that position simply because of you and me and everyone else who is a sovereign. So the boss of Chiwenga, if he understood constitutionalism and republicanism, are the individual men and women like you and me, who are, after all, the guarantors of constitutionalism. Fambai Naromun Wamari, that's Ayenzo Monti. Phineas Mapie, Jonathan Masanganise. I recognize Joseph Mdekunye, recognize Joe White, recognize Grace Rurezo, recognize James, and you want to be added in. If you are my friend, you can call me, or you can also try on Zimbabwe Today, because I don't seem to have you. And if you are my friend, it so happens that my Facebook page is full. Then Tafuma Mtandwa. Yeah, James, you want to talk, but we have to be connected, I guess, for you to be able to talk. You can call me. You got my Facebook Messenger. Call me, then I'll punch you in. So then Tafuma said, thank you for your efforts, sir. We are listening. Hope you'll be able to answer our questions as your children. Thank you, Tafuma. Mkoma Masimba is watching. Branson Lorraine is watching. Jabulani Mandivei, this G40 Mawere guy. Now I have a new first name called G40. Jabulani, wise up, grow up. Who are you? You are Jabulani, and yet you have the audacity to call other people names. Why? What gives you the right to judge others when you don't have the knowledge to know who the person you are talking to? I only hope that these people who reduce any debate to this kind of minimalist attitude and approach can rise up to be men in their own right. Because Jabulani, if you are who you say you are, then I will respect you as that person who you say you are. Accord others the same right and privilege, because we are all different people. There is no way that my mind will be added to yours and be called G40 mind. My mind remains mine, and I should like to assume that your mind is yours. If, however, your mind is capable of being outsourced, then perhaps you can explain how the mind of one can be exported to another and be given a new address, that while the mind is migrating from my body, then I remain a person who can talk to you, not G40. And Malcolm X, yeah, sure, of course, we need change. We can't continue going back to 2014. I think the statement was relevant. If it's relevant today, then be assured that other strong men may come tomorrow and say they are entitled to have a bigger voice because of events of yesterday. Is that the kind of Zimbabwe you want? That one individual, because he made a choice some years back to go to fight to liberate the country and deliver the promise of exactly what he is trying to avoid, constitutionalism. Then once you have a president, then mind you, the next leader will also be removed the same way. Look at Lesotho. Look at the countries that have had a habit of coups. Nigeria, Ghana. Study what has happened. Tatenda Mabungu, what Zimbabwe needs is a strong and honest leader, someone like Rwanda's Paul Kagame. Tatenda, keep on praying, because when one individual becomes the address of wisdom and understanding about the problems that afflict the universe of people, then you must know there is some danger somewhere. I should like to believe that even Paul Kagame is just a single individual, 24 hours in a day. He cannot avoid death. He cannot cheat it. So, I think what Zimbabwe needs is what the subject matter of today was. That we need to invest in a political morality that will place the sovereigns, the individuals, you and me, at the center of any dispensation. That when your employee, in the name of a general, begins to say that he is a stockholder, that he has a vested interest in this project called Zimbabwe, that he can talk to you as if he's got a proprietary interest in Zimbabwe, in the project of Zimbabwe. You must be concerned. Yes, the issue of Zimbabwe is separate and distinct. That is our project. Obed Unzi says Zimbabwe needs fire, not words. Yes, you may think it needs fire. And the best option for you, Obe, not to listen to anything. Why tune in when this is not fire? These are words. If you believe you have exhausted your capacity to absorb words, then fine. And if you think that's the way to go, you don't need my encouragement. You don't need to hear my voice. Just use the fire that you believe will give you the relief that you think you deserve. You don't need witnesses for that. Do what you need to do. But don't be on both sides. You want to hear, and then you want to tell the people what they should say to you. That's not the way to go. Stanley Jilly, the move by General Chiwenga has clearly exposed him. He has issued a direct threat to the commander-in-chief. He has fired himself. So to say, because his statement by all means seemed treasonous, the president has an absolute right to appoint whoever he feels can pursue his policies. Any attempt to have an army commander to subvert this means a coup is the order of the day. Then imagine South African military issues such a statement. Chiwenga has embarrassed us in this regard. Surprising Zera, are we now in a way under military rule? What is your take? We are not under military rule, surprise. What General Chiwenga is saying and what I hear him to be saying effectively is that he's trying to plead with the president that the president can this mass whip and the Central Committee be delayed, stopped, managed, so that there's a residual control. Because once the party has been cleansed under Mugabe's watch, it means succession is already decided. Because the Constitution of Zimbabwe provides for the party to appoint a successor after 90 days of the death of the incumbent. So all actuarial valuations, all rational thinking seems to suggest that people have no confidence in President Mugabe being alive to serve a full term from 2018. So everybody is working on that premise. Whether it's the G40 or Lacoste, they seem to be in agreement that there is a pending vacancy, an imminent vacancy, a self-evident vacancy. And if that is correct, then surely a case has to be made to ensure that the party is not cleansed of anyone with military tainting. And Chiwenga is saying, now that Mnangagwa is gone, it seems to me that I am the second most senior, maybe in their own construction. So I can't allow that to take place. Once the civilian regime has been reconstructed and new faces are put in, then it means until 2023, there is a problem. Because in 2019, when the next Congress comes in, the people who will be in control of the organs of state will be people with no military experience at all, no knowledge, whether constructive or otherwise. of where the project to liberate came from. So General Chiwenga is saying, I got the seed and I must control the harvest. And he sees that the people who are harvesting now are not exactly the kind of characters that he would want to see harvesting. Perhaps if it was some friendly people who were to be entrusted with custody of the party, then something could happen. Abina Chikurine, welcome. Stefan Duplessis, Rhodesia, Maxwell Pumai, Zimbabwe. This is God time to set us free. Let's keep honestly praying and interceding for our nation. Innocent Banda, is Chiwenga constitutional allowed to involve himself as a representative of the military in ZANU-PF politics? What is happening in ZANU-PF and government are two different bodies. I think what Chiwenga is saying, Mugabe is the president of the party. He is also a patron of the war vets. And according to Chiwenga, Zimbabwe is not ready for any other form of government controlled by people who didn't go to the war. He say, forget about constitutionalism, forget about democracy, republicanism, just factor in what he is saying, that this is our project. And we means the people who fought to liberate Zimbabwe. That's what is being said. Phineas Mapia, Tim Lacoste under siege, Chiwenga trying to exonerate himself because he knows Mugabe is after him. All he's saying is, President, reflect, perhaps pause and think what is happening to the party that we love so much. He is saying that he is an interested party and he has a vested interest and right to be able to cancel the president, because where the party is going is not exactly where Chiwenga and company would want it to go, because he is clearly conscious of the other side of the coin. And he is saying, not in my name. I can't see myself coexisting with this crowd. And therefore, I'm registering my own distaste as to the implications of what has gone on. And removal of Mnangagwa leaves a vacuum, according to them. And that vacuum can't be filled by people who have not been authenticated. I think in ZANU-PF, munhu wese akaziya nzvimbo yake akaziva nzvimbo yake zvinoita musha. Norman Tafumana, the man has got balls. The M cannot fold arms if there's anxiety in the country. I'm not sure about the country and the party, but I guess you may be able to say ZANU-PF is a country. Then what does it make of the people who are not members of ZANU-PF? Are you suggesting that they default into this group of people? In your opinion, is the general right or wrong and give such a statement? I guess perhaps the center no longer holds, and the general feels genuinely that they have to step in or step out, that they have no confidence with the commander-in-chief, although they respect him. But they cannot countenance this kind of unfolding drama that they never contemplated would take place. because I think they'd invested so much in the Mnangagwa presidency that obviously Chiwenga is shocked that the project can be smoked away and he remains with the stub and Mnangagwa is no longer there. So he's looking at the stub of project 101 and discovering that some people have smoked it away. And those who have smoked it away are not even generals, even sergeants, even lieutenant colonels. These are nobodies, the infantry, the minnows, who apparently are now running amok with power that was never meant to be democratized. Felix Kumirai watching, Ayenzo Monti, they failed to intercept the war problem at first. The guy Agataura Neje looting is not the right time to talk such things. We only need a way forward. Malcolm X is a ZANU-PF comrade and a right kuita zwaita. And Malcolm, he says, yes, I think he's got a right to be a member. He can go to ZANU-PF HQ. But the army is not ZANU-PF. Should never be ZANU-PF. You can't have a constitutional state, a republic, that then becomes subjected to this kind of thinking. So I don't think there's a way of amending that. So let me try. Then Phineas Mapia, Mr. Mtuma, what's the way forward for us Zimbabweans? I think we have a way to go, and I think the first is to understand the state of affairs, define the problem, then determine the way to solve the problem. What is the problem? Phineas, imagine this scenario. The army takes over by force. Chiwenga becomes the president of this republic. He becomes Master Sergeant Doe or Sangara. And he puts in a military junta that then transitions the country to the next election. Imprisons the G40 and he put them in the cooler. Mnangagwa comes back. There are new elections. There are elections that are going to be supervised by the army, because the army feels genuinely that the president is no longer the man they thought they knew. Would that be an acceptable scenario for you? Then General Chiwenga says, I'm not going anywhere with or without elections in future. If ZANU-PF loses, there will be blood. And you are told this scenario and you are saying, it's okay. Let's move on. It's okay for the generals to come in. But who is going to decide the next general? Because at some stage, these people who call themselves the owners of Zimbabwe will expire, all of them, to the man. except if they can reproduce themselves. Then you are presented with this scenario. The other narrative is ZANU-PF has its Congress, makes decisions, whoever comes in, that's the problem of people in ZANU-PF. In 2018, there will be a national election where you count if you are not a member of ZANU-PF and if you are afraid to assert your rights. That what is happening now ought to ignite you, to inspire you, to say, actually now we have a reason to be active and for you to take the obligations of citizenship, not casually, but seriously. Gerald Dixon, develop the roads and everything else will follow. Okay? Grand Man Zombe. Bottom line, here's Chiwenga is the only man with balls in his pants. He has grabbed the bull by the horns. You are the man, Chiwenga. Yes, if you need a man with balls, then what does that leave you with? With balls or castrated? If Grant, you castrating yourself constructively to create this Rambo-style Superman called Chiwenga, then you live to regret that. Because Chiwenga has been in the bus for the last 37 years. Chiwenga has been in the Titanic while the ship was sinking. Chiwenga has never sought all these years to issue a statement in support of the rule of law, in support of constitutionalism. Chiwenga has been missing in action on ideas that matter, on ideas that are worth sharing. Now you are saying he's got balls because another person has been castrated. Is that your macho man who waits for another, not waits for issues, not ways to solve the Zimbabwean problem? Chiwenga, in all his statements, he is not talking about the economic crisis that has been a friend of Zimbabwe for many years. He is not talking about the Reconstruction Act being repealed. Okay, Grace, we're coming to your platform. We have two platforms. We are also on Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe, is it Zimbabwe Today? Some people even think I own it, and that's how superstition. Comrade Nyaks, welcome. Namwinga Mwale Bryant, welcome. Grace, I'm coming back to the platform. I honestly don't think okay, Ramai, thank you for reminding us of the topic that brings us to this. And we were just prefacing it, Ramai, because the issue of rule of law, the issue of respect of property rights, I thought we could also take advantage of the Chiwenga matter to broaden the scope of morality that is required to the kind of morality that is required to go beyond the normal limits of discussion. I think the Reconstruction Act is yet another piece of legislation that should not exist, but does exist. So the reality of Zimbabwe is actually distorted, conflated, because some people actually don't know where their rights end and their obligations start. So, James, I can't join you because I'm full already. So I tried to invite you, but couldn't invite you. So you can either call me on my mobile number to join, or WhatsApp, whichever is okay with you. You can also inbox me. So it's not that I don't want you to be part of this conversation. I would gladly share the angering of it. So Grace, never be G40, just speculation. Please stop it. We want a forward on good discussion now. And Kushinga Gorem Sandu, welcome. Grace, we are not here to judge each other, really. That's not our business. What we are here to do is love. And this love make both ourselves and others feel worthy. This discussion is helping some of us. We are not here to attack. James, we need a person who knows what's on the ground. A person who has been in business, who knows what shortfalls people face, things like equipment. And then our African libertarians, Mr. Mtuma, are you still writing? I used to follow your writings a lot since your days as a columnist at newzimbabwe.com. Now I no longer find them anywhere. Still remember your Zimbabwe columns. We want columns. Thank you. You need to invite me. You've been the host. Grace, we don't seem to see these guys on our platforms. And James Katzel, we are here. So I think, Ramai, you can obviously also share what you have researched, but there seems to be some interest on this Chiwenga matter. Jefferson Mujokoto, I honestly don't think Chiwenga's press conference really does anything to the average Zimbabwean. Chiwenga stands with the war vets and will do everything to ensure ZANU's PF stays in power. So where was Chiwenga all this time? Guys, let's set a good precedent. ZANU-PF is ZANU-PF full stop. Zimbabweans are suffering because of ZANU-PF, and if a lion is moved from one group, it does not make it a good lion to the prey. Kombo Magama. Where was Chiwenga all this time to start saying Zimbos are struggling because of ZANU-PF machinations? He is the man who kept Mugabe in power in 2008. Now to say otherwise is double standards. He must just keep quiet and wait for his contract to be terminated. He deserves his equal time in prison. And what is the way forward? ZANU-PF must be disbanded. Does he have enough support within the army to go against the current government? Bruce Wokwa Nsengo, Yom Dara, you are asking yourself and replying yourself, you crazy. I'm not asking myself. I am reading what I'm seeing as comments that have been posted. I think you have two platforms. There are questions that are posted on both. Some I may not read, but the truth of the matter is that we have... then I got Stanley Kasukwere, welcome. Shepard Mafumo, welcome. Ernest Chinyoka, welcome. When ZANU-PF, especially Mnangagwa, helped you to acquire Shabani Mashaba mines, you did not say anything until they gave you a political position in Masvingo province, and you refused. After that, ukarasha mromo, ukat, you are not a politician. They took away SMM from you. Now you are bitter. I guess, Ernest, you have a viewpoint where you said Mnangagwa helped me to acquire. Mnangagwa has never said it. But I guess you give him credit. The company was not owned by Mnangagwa to help anyone. The company was owned by its owners. But still, I think you do believe what is resident in your mind. Nobody can change that. You then proceed to make utterances that only you can support in your mind. Because I guess it's customary to invest in gossip and be somebody because you want to attack. And if government was used to take over SMM, I guess you think it's okay. If the end justifies the means, then fine. Then there's nothing to talk about because it's not your government. Why are you interested in anyone becoming a president if the very powers that are supposed to flow from a change of administration would confer powers on somebody else that are not available today? Would you want your government to be used in the manner that you portray as the SMM matter? Imagine you refuse to be a chairman of a party that you are not a member of. Then the government, your government, its powers are then used to settle personal or private matters. Would that be the kind of Zimbabwe you want to see? If so, just say so. Maria Mafunga is watching. Tawanda Jani is watching. Chiwenga must rot in hell like his fellow comrades. Pamberina Mai, he is on his way to seek asylum. Tungamirai Fambirai. Madam Dala, leave him alone. I have nothing against him. All we are trying is, Tungamirai, to know where government starts and where government ends. And then we'll be able to talk intelligently about facts. Ramai, are you still there? If Ramai Mash, you are still there, please talk to me so that we can get on with... I think we have exhausted this Chiwenga matter. There's nothing that we can add except to wait until tomorrow. If the statement is offensive, and I have no doubt people are working on making it so offensive. And because Chiwenga will be smelling by tomorrow, even things that he didn't say will be attributable to him. Because there's a lot of fireworks taking place. There are a lot of matches, people holding matches, grenades, and holding the fuses just to blow other people. So Chiwenga, in making the statement, knew or ought to have known that he was a dead man walking. And I have no doubt that the other camp is already working on his case. To say, President, we told you, the job is not finished. In fact, we now have confirmation that actually the people who were booing may very well have been people from the army. That this is actually treason. That Chiwenga is an architect of treachery. How dare he question His Excellency? Chiwenga knew, and ought to have known that the only appointing authority is the husband of the wife who is angry with Mnangagwa. So if Chiwenga knew that and ought to have known that, how come he was oblivious to the implications of that statement? How come he was so naive and he's become so naive as to align himself with a cause that has already been dead? That the bus is moving, they've passed the station where negotiations could have taken place. They are saying, obviously, they will fuel tonight, play the tape selectively, read the statement selectively to provoke Mugabe to act. And we know that when Mugabe was provoked, he acted. And there's still an interface rally to take place in Harare. Who will be there for the menu? Do you think Chiwenga will not be for the starters or the main course or dessert? Because Chiwenga has come out to the fore, and all he's saying is, President, come back to the camp of war vets. Then we will salute you. Then there is no disorder. If the people of Zimbabwe suffer, as they must suffer, they should suffer, because that's none of our business. Our business is to retain power and to keep it in our back pocket. That never trust anyone else to be in power, because questions will be asked. Can you explain your lifestyle? Because we know what your salary is. Talk to us about how this promise of independence has been so rewarding, so joyful, so beneficial. And you can understand if you were Chiwenga and you knew that the direction where this thing is going would place the control and administration of the government of Zimbabwe in hands that don't have this loyalty. Chiwenga would know better that if a president like Mnangagwa was there, he would not ask him to answer that question. Show me the money. Where did the money come from? If you are who you were saying you were, tell us about the loot. Where did the loot come from? Unlike Ernest Nyoka, who is asking about Shabani Mashaba mines, it is a history that predates me. It is a date of acquisition. The documents are there. And you can trace it and say, this is where it started. That's where Mawere started. That's where this one ended. There was a relay. Somebody passed the baton to another person. So imagine you are in the army and you have been running this casino economy, and it has been very rewarding. The slot machine has produced good cash. All of a sudden, the end is near, and you know it. Everybody knows it. Would you trust anyone other than the person who you know has protected you for all this long? President Mugabe has been good to anyone who is corrupt, because they've made him believe that he is actually exceptional, superhuman. So, examine this reality when we talk about the relationship between men and reality, what do we see? We see the reality of power manifesting itself in the goodies that flow from power. If you have not worked for it, how do you explain it? If asked tomorrow just to account for this gold that has now become your friend, this cash that has become your friend, and this idea of invincibility of number one takes a different character because they need him. Because he's not going to ask those questions. He can't. He will never ask the question. And we need to be able to be alive to that. When people issue press statement, it means they have a grenade in their ass. Who put the grenade? They are running around. Someone is holding the fuse. They know where the fuse is. They know what will happen if that grenade explodes. And they're not stupid. They know what is at stake. Even Mnangagwa would not want to know, would not want to participate in a story where Shabani Mashaba Mine's story is told in the open, where the allegations of his help will then be exposed, whether it's true or false. Facts never lie. They never change. The passage of time may be what it is, but facts remain stubborn. So this is the problem. And the unverified, somebody says Mugabe is what? There's another issue coming, breaking news from Zimbabwe. Mugabe has postponed the press conference. Nokuti Chiwenga aramba kufa. That may be the case. Imi, stop talking Gano. Talk is cheap. We need action. Kudakwashe mindurwa. Kudakwashe. You don't need to be in this platform. If you need action, I won't issue a press statement for you to act. I don't have the power to issue a statement. I don't have the power to command anybody. The only thing I can share is what is in my mind. There's nothing more that I can do to please you or to upset you. And in the circumstances, actually, if you absent yourself from things that you don't want to hear, I have no doubt your time will be well spent proceeding to act as you threaten to do. There's nobody who can stop you from acting. But what we need is to think and reflect about the kind of Zimbabwe we want to see. Kaya Mako. I've asked for Ramai. Are you still available so that we can... how many of the people who are watching have read the Reconstruction of State Indebted Insolvent Companies Act? If you have read, please identify yourself so that we can begin, because there are people, obviously, who have an interest in the Chiwenga story. And I don't know why, but it appears to be so newsworthy, so interesting. In fact, there are some people who are actually praying that there's a coup d'etat, who are praying that Chiwenga actually takes control. There are people who pray that the army and the war vets must be the custodians. There are people who care less about democracy, about elections, who are saying, let's have another Paul Kagame in Zimbabwe. There are people who say democracy is a nuisance, and therefore it must be substituted with something else. There are those who actually believe that Chiwenga will prevail. That Mugabe is not the head of state, but there are other heads in the state who are equally important, that Mugabe ought to have consulted Chiwenga. If he had done, Chiwenga would no doubt have told him, stop it. There are people who believe something else. Elections will never work in Zimbabwe, I'm aware. So if you are saying elections will never work, then what are you suggesting? Because there must be something that you are suggesting. Absent elections, what do you propose so that we know? Cliff Chikumbirike, you said you haven't. Did anyone read the Reconstruction of State Indebted Insolvent Companies Act? Say, you make me HV nausea. Winnie Zongondi. Bye. That's fine, Winnie. You don't have to be here. And I think those who want to participate in the discussion, that's fine. Army must go back to barracks. Farai Maruzani. Watson says it's better to leave it like that. Vadamburane Vega. And I guess it's your country that you are saying you must abdicate, Watson. Leave them to fight each other. And your future hangs on the balance while they are fighting each other. That's one view. Others may have a different view. Okay. I think the issues yesterday we spoke about Cliff. We spoke about the Reconstruction of State Indebted Insolvent Companies Act. And all we're trying to do was try to understand some actions that have taken place in the course of the journey of independence, and try to better contextualize the Zimbabwean problem, whether it is a problem that is only surfacing now or whether it is a problem that has always been there. And we thought yesterday, let's go through the act as we must. Let's read it as we should, so that we can better understand the change in morality that has taken place, even the shift of views, whether Chiwenga who is saying something that we may not be hearing him to be saying, that the independence journey has been so rewarding to many people in uniform. And the top echelons of the army actually have understood this journey of independence and moved to benefit from it. And actually they have something to protect. They would not want the truth to come out as to their conduct and their relationship with power. How have they applied it? So that's one sort of it. And I guess even on the issue of SMM, what we are saying is that many people who are uncomfortable actually dealing with the facts of SMM, because then they will expose who is who. And some of the people who may be exposed want to have a clean image in the public domain. When Mugabe is no longer there, they will pile all the blame on Mugabe. and keep him to be the devil incarnate. So that is one view. And what we thought is, it is important for us to be able to talk to this act so that we can be able to apportion blame where blame is to be allocated, and then be able to take a view on what kind of Zimbabwe we must have and how best can we secure it. That's one. So it means we also have an obligation to think and reflect. I've posted and pinned the link to the act. Those who have read the act, please can you come forward so that we may be able to talk to it and respond to questions as they may arise. So, is it possible okay, Tafuma Mtwanda. Tafuma Mtandwa, kindly tell us if Zimbabwe is going to be fixed for the next 15 years. I think even if we have resources, let's see. GDP of 48 poor countries. Okay. So Tafuma, of 48 poor countries are living with less than $2 a day. If government is working for us, why is it we only see you Kanatawe Kuno Vota? Thank you. Sen Uktaura Ninyika. Okay. I have no doubt that Zimbabwe is not a patient, but the people of Zimbabwe are the people who need a better life. They need a change of direction. I think if you take the example of people who have gone in the diaspora, I think you'll agree that most of them left the country, some with nothing, but they've been able to lift themselves out of the condition they've arrived in within a relatively short period of time. Zimbabwe, what does it require? I think I've been at pains trying to maybe encourage people to think about framing the Zimbabwean problem. What is it if we were to define the Zimbabwean problem and help each other? Because there are many people who believe that intellectuals actually have a better claim on problem solving. There are other people who believe that uneducated people inherently are incapable of understanding the problems and solving them. So you have this conflict as to what is required. Yes, we go to school to be able to sharpen our minds, think differently, and approach problems on a different perspective. But there are many examples in human history that show that you don't necessarily have to be in a classroom to distinguish yourself in the affairs of mankind. You can still be able to solve problems. So if we look at the human condition in Zimbabwe and the human challenges that are faced, I'm sure you agree with me that if there is the laws of the nature that I've posted, if they exist, and you don't know about it, Tafuma, and you are asking of 15 years from now, and you don't have the patience to look at what is wrong today. Because what is wrong today in many people's minds may be the person of Mugabe. But absent Mugabe, we must be able to imagine that scenario. Do you think necessarily the challenges of poverty, unemployment, and inequality will evaporate just because the person that we talk about most often is no longer there? Let's prepare ourselves for the day Mugabe is not there. I guess even people in G40 may also be thinking about the same scenario. What if Mugabe drops dead today? The next second, what would it be like? So let's think in terms of seconds. If we think Mugabe is the problem, then the only question is his exit. And if that is the crystallization of the problem, then we can never be able, we can also be able to what? To take it from there. Henry thinks there can never be action without talking first. Let the people talk. That's what we are trying to do. Let's catch the scenario and try to frame the problems so that the problems are capable of being solved. Because if you say Mugabe is a problem, then there are two ways of getting him out. One is the nature, which has its own way of managing exits. Then the second, just hold on. Hello? So the nature, sickness, I think you may have exceptional doctors who obviously would manage some of the things that he needs to manage. What else? Death. Then you can pray for him to go. Elections. They are next year. Some people are already saying the elections are rigged, which means that avenue is no longer there. And I guess that's what most people are saying. Most people are saying Mugabe is a problem. So we don't care how he exits. As long as he exits, what happens after Mugabe is gone? It's irrelevant. That's one definition of a problem. So we need to examine it. We need to interrogate it. Would that be beneficial? Would that be in your interest? If you come from the viewpoint that Mugabe is a problem, then obviously Mugabe's exit becomes the only solution. Whether Chiwenga acquires balls from you through encouragement to say stand up to Mugabe, when for the last 38 years he has worked under Mugabe, then that lends itself to one solution. Simon Munyala Zumbulo says people have suffered for many years. It's one thing to have gone to war to liberate the country and gain independence, which was great, but truly who benefited in those is those who are in power at present. Having a queue or not won't change the economy in Zimbabwe as we speak, but having a free and fair election might help. Even after elections, Simon, I don't think the problems, the human problems, the human condition will change necessarily because of elections. On another hand, the leading party should be stopped because all they've done is create corruption in Zimbabwe. You may discover the new crop that you bring in, having been starving for the past 38 years, may be so greedy that you don't know what is going on. I promise you one thing, for a lot of people in Zimbabwe, prefer Zimbabwe to be at the current state for their own gain. So we actually walking in the dark. We don't have the solutions. We need to define, if we go along with what Simon is saying, what is the problem that you then seek to solve? So we need to examine that problem. We need to understand it. And that's all we are saying. Let's invest in framing and understanding the problem. I asked again, the people who have read the Reconstruction of State Indebted Insolvent Companies Act, please, can you assist me so that I can know that there are people, some may have been pissed off already and left, because we ended up talking about the Chiwenga factor instead of what we had promised to talk about yesterday. So if you are in there and you are frustrated that we are talking about something that was not contemplated yesterday, had we known that General Chiwenga was going to be in the enterprise of issuing statements, we would have at least prepared for it. But such is the case. Here we are. Chiwenga is, some people have said, is pissed in the wind and the fan is on. So guess what happens? Some have said, actually what he said is not harmful to any sitting president. In fact, Chiwenga just said what most people in the war vet fraternity have been saying and will continue to say, that the president, until death, he must be loyal to his comrades. It's too late for him to abandon his comrades. That they've taken him this far, whether he won the elections or not, they have said we have kept Zimbabwe peaceful, even under trying conditions. And they don't care at all about the generality of the public. Or maybe they do care, but what they're saying is not now, because they want to determine the way the transition is handled, the way the excesses of the last 38 years should be exposed. So those people won't have an opportunity of cross-examining the people who have made or contributed to some of these problems that have compounded into a Zimbabwean nightmare. So if you are there and you want us to go through the Reconstruction of State Indebted Insolvent Companies Act, and you have had a chance to look at it, please can you come forward? Just by typing why, that I've read it. And then we can be able to what? To deal with it, so that we can improve our scholarship. We can also know better about what has been happening under President Mugabe's watch, maybe without his full knowledge, maybe with his full knowledge. Only time will tell. And if you are there, please come forward. Otherwise, if you are not there, I'll call it a day, because I don't have to go on talking on my own without you coming in. I think there are some people who wanted to join in the conversation, but I guess you have to be my friend on Facebook. So Tafuma Mtandwa, Musa Ismail, what is your take on the statement that no one will ever rule this country, and how would that affect the results of our future elections? My take is that we don't really care about who wins, but what they bring with them that benefits us, i.e. investment and rule of law. I think the statement itself exposes some fault lines in our shared understanding of what government is and what it is not. I think it is very clear that according to General Chiwenga, the government of Zimbabwe is subservient to the party. And those who lead the party are the bosses, not just of the members of the party, but also the universe of the people who live in Zimbabwe. That then suggests that the constitution that seems to be the basis on which the government is established is redundant according to these people. And even that utterance alone, that governance, even the president, if you go to the constitution, there is no reference at all to any war veteran, let alone a general, having a say as to who should be the president. The President Mugabe has got a term until the next election. So the only way to make this thing meaningful is that there may be a plan to remove him. So when a statement like that, one can only assume either it's a threat or it's a real plan in motion. That we've given you a warning, President. If you touch me, you want to remove me, then there will be consequences. I'm not like Mugabe. I'm like Mnangagwa, who you can just throw away like a condom. You pay for it. If it's me, you are going to have to pay for it. Because I don't believe you are no longer acting in terms of the prescripts of the revolution. That's what it means to me, Musa. I don't know what else it means that a war that ended in 1979, that the facts and circumstances of 1979 minus are the facts that should be brought to bear today. I have never heard it, and I don't understand it. So I guess that is the part of the problem. Just to be able to create a shared understanding, to invest in a shared understanding that the government of Zimbabwe arises from the will of the people. It doesn't arise out of army barracks. Then Tafuma Mtanda, most of people's hopes are dashed there. President Mugabe isn't the problem, but the government, employees of ZANU-PF are mismanaging it, misleading people. Look at Ghana now, it's improving. We own businesses here in the diaspora, busy building legacies that our children will ever enjoy. Will never enjoy. That's sad. You are right. I think President Mugabe is part of the problem, Because once you stay too much in power, you actually become less useful to yourself. Because people know how to manage you. They know which statement will provoke you to do something. They know how to speak to you. They know how to threaten you. They know how to massage you. So a lot is at play. Once you stay too long in power, people know which side of the bed you sleep. When you say something, what do you mean? There are people who have become experts at understanding Mugabe. And that's where the problem is. Can I ask you something? Why now has the army been involved in politics? Because of Mnangagwa, when Joyce was expelled, why did not the army react? I suspect foul play with the general. Neither him is honest. Surely I don't trust. As I told you that if you look at the lifestyle of most of the generals in Africa, you'll be surprised the kind of lifestyle they live. Then if you juxtapose that lifestyle with the reality of the salaries that they earn, there is no comparison at all. And obviously, if someone would ask these uncomfortable questions, General, Mr. So-and-so, please talk to me. What happened in your life, in your journey of life? Did you accidentally stumble on manna, or what you are displaying is the product of something that was never meant to be enjoyed by people in government? So obviously there are genuine apprehensions. And equally, the other side we've seen recently, the G40, if that's what the people call it, Minister Jonathan Moyo, the grenade was placed in his ass and it was Zimdev. Kasukuwere has not been spared. Province is voting to oust him. So they also have their own grievances. That actually this game is not a game of cards. It's a real bear fight, narco fight. These guys are going for broke. They are not fighting to leave another one walking. They are fighting to decimate the other, because the consequences of the other being omnipresent while you are enjoying the trappings of the new invincibility, anything can happen. So it's a volatile situation, Kuzanai. It's really President Mugabe just discovering what he has been presiding over. That there are little chiefs inside the room. Whereas Mugabe is portrayed as a big elephant, there are little elephants inside who know if the big elephant does not protect the small elephants, the whole house is gone. So they would rather protect the house called ZANU-PF than risk it and lose control and have to explain. Tell me what happened to SMM. How did a private company end up being under reconstruction? Imagine this is the conversation. Mnangagwa, tell me, what did you know? What didn't you know? And when you knew it, what did you do? Why were you so quiet? And President Mugabe, talk to us. Why did you give life to a law that offends the same constitution that you say limits your powers to appoint a successor? Why would you be stickler to rules on one hand, on the other hand, don't care about the rules? So talk to us. Imagine that conversation was held in the public square, where you and I have a right to ask questions. So what Chiwenga is saying, We have to intimidate Zimbabweans into submission so that never again shall they ask questions. If the president is gone, it means we must be in control. But genuinely, we can't allow Zimbabwe to be controlled by somebody we don't know. So we own this project called Zimbabwe. That's what is being suggested. That's what is on the table. You may not like what I'm saying, but that's what my reading of the situation is. I could be wrong, as I may be. I mean, there's nothing to stop me from being wrong. The only people who know what's going on are the people in whose minds these ideas are resident. All we can do is speculate. But I'm speculating. I could be wrong. And I'm entitled to be wrong. So, if you are hearing me, talk to me. Am I delusionary? Am I talking above you? Am I understandable? Is my English so bad that it cannot be understood? So if you are not talking, then I think we can call it a day at 10 o'clock so we're 8 minutes away from it. So you tell me, have you enjoyed? Because I see nobody has read the act. So I guess we'll have to do it another day, perhaps tomorrow, to allow people to read the act. Who is interested in having a discussion on the act? I sound like a broken record. So we have 8 minutes. Please, those who are interested, also inbox me so that we can arrange to be able to bring you on so that we can have a robust discussion and advertise it. So if you are interested in adding your voice, please inbox me so that we do this in advance. Malcolm, Randy, welcome. So anyone interested, because I think we have done some interrogation on Chiwenga. Exactly, that's the game plan. Zimbabweans wanting, they know is intimidation now. Chiwenga comes in to divert the masses. These guys, they come with a strategy. The commander was clear and straightforward, Spanda says. Okay, so I think if it was clear to you, then tomorrow, Carlos Chimbi, welcome. If it was clear tomorrow, to you, then fine. Gulule Gongiwane, Animal Farm, you can say that again. So, we are in an animal farm. That's the way it is. The bigger the animal, the law will follow. Who needs a law anyway if you are a strong animal? So, foreman, you say the commander was clear. So I guess we have 6 minutes. If you have enjoyed this show, please let me know. Grace, do you have a copy of the constitutional document, the constitution of Zimbabwe, or what, Grace? Carlos Chimbi, is Chiwenga threatening RG? No, Chiwenga is saying, please, I need protection. I think Chiwenga is saying, I got a lot of stuff that I don't want you to know. And that is the case. That Chiwenga is saying, President, please get rid of G40. They must never know what we're up to for all these years. And Chiwenga is saying, we have been up to mischief for 38 years. If you look at our lifestyle outside the uniform, we have become very rich under your watch, Your Excellency. If you bring these gangsters, these mafikizol, they won't know that independence was meant to give us the goodies. So please, President, don't make the mistake of passing the reins to these people. If you do that, all bets are off. What is not death? That's death. These guys are going for broke. If Mnangagwa had his way, he would have fumigated Jonathan. Jonathan would be in Chikurubi. But Jonathan first pressed him. He quickly ran away with the docket and placed this somewhere far away from Mnangagwa. So Mnangagwa ended up with Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission clutching on leaves where the tree had gone. So this is a dog-eat situation. Dog-eat-dog situation. So Carlos Chimbi, this is no picnic business. Chiwenga knows what is at stake. He knows that this regime has been very rewarding. But most of the things they've done, Mugabe doesn't know. And they would rather Mugabe dies and dies with everything. If you ask them what they were doing for 38 years, they will tell you the chief is the one who was eating alone. And they will conflate issues, confuse you, and they will become human rights activists. They will become like Joyce Mujuru, telling you, I saw no evil, had no evil, but now I'm singing Amazing Grace. How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me, that I was once blind, but now I can see. But Chiwenga is saying, look, I'm not going that route. I'm an officer, and I took an oath, and now I've ended up being well-to-do from under Mugabe. So I'm not going to be so stupid to piss off Mugabe. What I need to do is to threaten Mugabe sufficiently, maybe, so that he can see light from darkness, the woods. But if Mugabe refuses, then we are on our own niggers. We got to make a plan, because this G40 train is coming. And I see the light at the end of the tunnel. But guess what? It's the light of an oncoming train. And the G40, the crew, they are coming. And you see light, there's no reverse. And Chiwenga knows that, guys, I better get out of this tunnel, dead or alive, but I will not trust these guys to do anything that I can't do. So what is the constitutionality of the situation in Zimbabwe according to power of three arms of government situation in Zimbabwe? Yeah, it's the constitution is clear. There's a judiciary, executive, and the legislature. That's there in place. So I think Chiwenga is saying, forget about this constitutionalism. Grace the constitution, you can just Google Constitution of Zimbabwe 2013, you can download directly. So Albert says, is the country going off the line? It has been off the rails. The country has been off the rails for a long time. Albert, who is really in charge of the situation? Somebody says animal farm. There are pockets of resistance and pockets of power. It just happened that the two characters in power are not talking to each other. Ifas, Mandaza, but the same generation you are talking about are all looting, and how will Chiwenga need to save himself from the G40? Chiwenga says, my friend, Chiwenga is very clear. He's saying, shit, I'm not going to wake up one day and see G40 at my door. He says, that reality better not come in my lifetime. I would rather die on my feet than die on my knees, because I know either way I'm finished. So it's a clear, the battle lines are drawn. There's no two ways about it. Dara, who are you begging for 2080? I'm not begging anybody. That's why I've been here, Aaron, just to try to share ideas that actually we need to invest in values. What kind of Zimbabwe do we want to see? Than beg a man. We have done it so much. For 38 years, people have been backing a wrong horse. They have been backing a man instead of backing values. Let's deal with the Zimbabwean problem. If you think the Zimbabwe problem is a messianic problem, where we have to pray to get a Messiah, there are so many prophets in Zimbabwe. Perhaps they can tell you what has been revealed in their dreams. I don't have any dream. Nothing. I'm zero. So I really don't know. And I shudder to think what backing a person actually entails. Then Tapua Runovuya, what do you think about the result of the elections? I don't know. I'm not there yet. Are you looking at 2018? Do you think Mnangagwa will come back for the presidency? Anything is possible. Events have unfolded. Can you imagine last week Mnangagwa? This was his last day in government. At this time, he knew that he was out of the pass. So anything is possible, Tapua. Especially where the people have what? Are not clear where they want to go. Don't you think it's better to have him as a new blood of leadership? Then later we kick him out. If you understand, you may discover that that Mnangagwa actually is one of the biggest problems. That Mugabe may actually have been an imperial majesty sitting there naked. They say when the emperor is naked, what do you do? That Mugabe doesn't even know half the things that were happening. Why would General Chiwenga be so pissed off by the exit of this man? Unless there's something that he knows that we don't. If you ask General Chiwenga, why are you jumping around? Why all of a sudden there's a crisis? When there was a casino economy, when Shabani Mashaba Mines was closed, he never said it was a crisis. When Mujuru was thrown off the bus, it was not a crisis. All of a sudden, what is so special about Mnangagwa that would cause you to issue a statement following his own statement? Are you collaborating on statements? So this is a jungle book. It's a jungle fight. Nothing to do with your future. Nobody's talking to you. They are talking at each other, finishing each other. So we got a problem. So we need to be able to delve deeper into this matter. Understand that there is something amiss. A full general issues a press statement. And President Mugabe doesn't even talk to Mnangagwa. He says, SK Moyo, go ahead, give him a love letter so that he gets out. And then Albert Nyarugwe. Yes, the country has been off the rail for a long time, but the question, I guess, is who is now in control of the ruling party? I don't think the ruling party has been is the issue for us. The party doesn't need control, but there are characters in the party who have had a different experience of independence. Not all the members of the party of ZANU-PF have had the same reality of life. So let's not partisan this issue. Let's deal with individuals. Clearly, Chiwenga has got something to hide. And he doesn't want to wake up in a world where these so-called G40 are driving Rolls Royce and going after him and asking him uncomfortable questions. So he can only protect himself through President Mugabe. To say, President Mugabe, enough is enough. What is not death? If you allow this cabal of criminals who have taken money from the state and are given a reprieve, yet other people are haunted. My take is that the statement by Chiwenga is a direct shot at the G40 as well as to Mugabe to rein in on this faction or lose power altogether. That's the same reading, Albert. That he is saying, please, I'm not going to open my books to G40. They're far too young. He is contemptuous of anyone who didn't go to the struggle. He is saying the struggle is our struggle. If there's anything that we have done wrong, we have done wrong. But we are not going to be made to account to people who don't matter to us. Minnows. Nobodies. So the whole country, the majority now, maybe General Chiwenga doesn't know that the majority are young people. And he's saying to them, F off. Laws, he says, Zimbabwean men are the worst kind of leaders. They have failed the nation, shame of leadership. I don't know, you are grouping all men into one, as if they are leaders. Weddington demands, only now Mdara you're talking. Makore SM, Mangamaka Nyarara, must we believe you? I think Facebook Live was not there, you didn't hear me. I think someone was saying I've been writing New Zimbabwe. I was a columnist for New Zimbabwe. Maybe you were sleeping. I was a columnist on Newsday. I was a columnist on Daily News. Perhaps I wrote articles on Independent. Perhaps you were sleeping because you don't remember my name except now. What is the main aim of this platform? To give opinions on how we can resuscitate our beloved country or criticize certain individuals. Can you be clear, Gio, so that we can follow? Yeah, Foreman, the purpose of this platform is really to create an arena where we can dissect into issues, into facts and events, and so that we can help each other understand what possibly could be the forces that are at play. Then secondly, ignite people to then take responsibility. Inspire people to be active citizens. Because when you know better, you can act better. When you know what Chiwenga is saying about you and me, and you happen not to have been in the struggle, he is saying, I hold you in contempt for a crime you never committed because you are not there. That's what he's saying. So once you know that, you are able to frame a correct problem for Zimbabwe, and you are able to go beyond the headlines and say, let me step back. Let me think. What is at play in Zimbabwe? Is it the promise of independence? The answer is no. Is it the promise of darkness, of hopelessness? Perhaps. Can I rely on elections? When people are already saying, with or without elections, the reality is power must always be conveyed to people to whom power should go. So, Foreman, that's where we are. Where are we going to get wisdom? After 38 years of independence, we seem to not to have people we can look up to. We simply don't. If you look at how the business actors were decimated, how a new reality was created, how companies were taken over like it's a picnic. So you begin to imagine what has gone wrong. Do you think young people should follow G40? I don't know who G40 is. Do you believe G40 stands for the people of smaller number? What I believe in that you, Darlington Mabuse, don't become young people. Be Darlington. Be yourself. I don't know what G40 is or is not. But what I do know is you typed what I've just read. And no one can do that for you. The outcomes that you seek, Darlington, are outcomes that you have to invest in. Imagine a Zimbabwe where the rule of law prevails, where the respect of man and his property is sacrosanct. Imagine what kind of Zimbabwe. Reimagine Zimbabwe. Take yourself back to 1980. Imagine what was resident in people's minds. That excitement. Can you bring it back today? To say, I'm excited, not against Mugabe, but for something, for a Zimbabwe that we never visited for 38 years. For the Zimbabwe of your dreams that was taken away while you were sleeping on the wheel, trusting people in government to be the solution to your problems, and created G40 to be another government within a government. Imagine you talk of G40, not talk about your power being stolen and being used. People issuing statements threatening you that I am here, henceforth, stop it. That you can't say anything because you are too young. If you are too young, you are part of G40. Therefore, Zimbabwe is not yours. Go out of the country until we all perish as the war vets. That's the narrative. So having known that, Darlington, how would you frame a problem for Zimbabwe today? Should the constitution be amended to state specifically that the future leader of Zimbabwe must be a war vet? Is that what General Chiwenga is asking for? Or he's asking for an animal farm where random rules come up, where rule by law, even law doesn't exist. He's saying, I'm giving you the law. It's called derivative law. That if ZANU-PF and its members are in turmoil, then consequently the government of Zimbabwe indirectly and derivatively becomes compromised. And I'm not talking about the government being compromised independent of the party. What he's saying is that the seed of government is the party. Do you think the seed of constitutionalism must be the wisdom of a few men? If so, do you really think this issue should wait for elections? Or we need President Mugabe to clarify once and for all who is in charge, Chiwenga or him? Because Chiwenga effectively is saying that no, the president cannot be in charge. We are in problems. So we have a problem. And Darlington, this is a big problem. And Chiwenga is saying, I don't like democracy, but I like power. I know that you all are idiots. I'm the smart man in town. I'm the sheriff in town. And what I think is good for the country, that is what shall happen. If I think G40 must be eliminated, that is it. So we have a problem. And that problem is very clear. That President Mugabe stayed too long in government office, that he has been blinded by the very people he trusted. They are now saying to him, you say the ballot is more important than the bullet? And we are telling you the bullet is more important than the ballot. So there are two worldviews. So we must clarify from our employee number one, called the President of the Republic. We elected you. We didn't shoot you into power. So if you didn't acquire your power by ballot box, why is it that Chiwenga does not understand it? Chiwenga must and ought to understand that for the last 38 years, President Mugabe has never sought power outside the four corners of elections. Now he's saying, no, all those elections were just what? Mock elections. Because whatever, if President Mugabe had lost, then the army was going to intervene. Is that what he's saying? So we need to clarify soberly. So Darlington, let's not talk about G40. Let's talk about reclaiming the power that is contemplated in the Constitution. That belongs to you and me, not to Chiwenga. Who is Chiwenga to threaten his employers? Where has he been? It looks like he has been living in his own reality. So if he is protecting his loot, it's fine, we shall know. And you know, and we know, and your reputation. You are an influential voice, which is why we are listening. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. We need this, especially since we are in the diaspora. Yes, Albert, I can only share what I know. Pardon, Madanzi says, ladies and gentlemen, if we humble ourselves and just listen to this man, we'll learn a lot. If you as an individual seem to be confused by him, there is an X button at the top right corner. Click it and exit. You also have a right to remain on the platform. If you have a different idea, please let us hear it. And then we let ideas contest each other, other than not us, the individuals fighting. Albert Chiwenga is protecting his interests as well as all those beneficiaries of the animal farm. Mnangagwa taking over from Mugabe who guaranteed that the generals and their loot are secure and protected. Grace and G40 taking over means that their pot of gold is in different hands. I'm so sad, Oliver Maha, and I'm tired of being angry. There's this guy with Blengy hot dogs on his shoulders. He's supposed to look after his people, care about them, protect them. And he's doing all this he's doing is mouthing of unintelligible nonsense about, once again, colonialism being the root of all evil. Colonialism left you a long time ago. Brigadier called silly stuff on your colonialist hat. Look after your people. Games, Matthias, games, and again, people being fooled. Why then step aside, step down, rejoice? A reshuffle isn't anything. Autocratic power struggle as the eternal leader passes away. Cliff Chikumbrig have read it. Thanks for the insight of what happened to SMM. Was once in a Gweru resident during the prime time of SMM, 2002. Always was wondering what had happened. Thanks, Ngululeko Ngiwane, educating me. Which devil is better, the old guard or young people trying to have a fresh go? A devil is a devil. There is no better devil. Ngululeko. Don't trust anyone with power. It doesn't matter whether it's age, whether it's S. Lumumba or whether it's Mutuma. Doesn't matter. Don't trust people who tell you that they will do you good by taking your power and running away with it. The young are only learning from the old who have had it good for so long. So it's not easy. Don't trust anyone with power. Power is yours. Keep it. Value it. Secure it. Cherish it. Moffat Joel Masuk. Cry, beloved country, God have mercy on Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe doesn't need any mercy. But we have to act. So first, let's understand how to frame problems. Then those who are outside the country, let's understand how to help to solve the problem. If money is what is required to energize people who know what they need to do, let's do that. Let's create a new mutual, not an old mutual. Let's rethink, let's reimagine. But let's not just jump into accepting one prophet who says this and tomorrow says that. So I hope you'll be able to reflect. And Cliff, you have read the act. That's the beginning of understanding the devil. That the devil is not just a young person. That is not Mnangagwa acting on his own. It's not Mugabe acting on his own. That a government can be so polluted to the extent that nobody knows whether it's a government still. We may have reached a destination where things no longer matter. Anything goes. That's where we have to step up to the plate and say, Chiwenga, hang on. Why are you afraid of yourself? Why are you afraid of a new dawn? Why are you afraid of retiring? Why are you afraid of having democratization of democracy? Why should we have democracy that is prescribed by a person who was appointed, by the very person elected? If Mugabe was not elected in 1980, where would the Chiwenga have been? Were it not for the ballot, where would Chiwenga be? Let's answer that question and ask the question to General Chiwenga. If you are a journalist out there who is listening, ask him, were it not for the ballot, where would the press statement be? What would it read? Now you are talking about Nyazonya, Chimoi, and all these things that preceded the deciding factor that Muzorewa also wanted to be prime minister. Gomo also wanted to be prime minister. Nabaningi Stolo wanted to be prime minister. But the people of Zimbabwe stopped that nonsense. Now, 37 years later, we now have this big general who says, yes, I don't care. I don't give a damn. What I give a damn to is that ZANU-PF must survive at all costs, even if it means carcasses of people. He doesn't care. Then let's ask him that the uniform that you are wearing when you are issuing the press statement, is not your clothes. Can you dress down and find your own clothes? Then call a new press statement and say what you wanted to say. Don't use our money to piss on us. What have we done to deserve that? Wouldn't it be something that makes sense just to ask General Chiwenga, what are you trying to say about yourself? Who gave you that room to issue a statement? Whose home is it if it's not a people's home? You issue a statement that insults the very reason why you're in government. He's got better clothes. Why wear the people's clothes? To insult them in their own house. I don't think General Chiwenga would be able to answer that question. And if President Mugabe is still president, were you aware for the last 37 years, 38 years, that you were leading an animal farm? Uncontrollable, unruly characters who can't even be removed, who have become married to the people's job, to the people's houses, to the people's property. So we have work to do. But my concern is that people may not be reading into this statement by the Army General. Are we on the brink of a military takeover? No. There are threats, because if you want to take over, you take over. You don't threaten anyone. But threatening is negotiation. That let's bring the president back into our mold, because we need him where we have put him. And where have they put him? Kumawere, point of no return. Where he tries to struggle there, he can't, because they have been controlling him. Tiriwanu Katikiti, thanks for the good job that you are doing, Mtuma. If Chiwenga is genuine about the problems of our country, he should have taken action a long time ago. But unfortunately, he was enjoying seeing people suffering under the great leader's regime. That this press statement might be stage managed one as well. Iwe kup vangadai vakatandanisa asekuru kare. The people have lost direction, and those in power will need to reach retirement, same as everyone else. There is a need for freedom of expression and real democracy. So I think there we go. Those who have enjoyed this show and want me to give up time so that we can continue this conversation, please say yes or just why. Letter Y, so that we close. I've extended by 30 minutes. Chiwenga is not loyal to ZANU-PF Oliver. He's loyal to himself and the gains of the revolution. ZANU-PF has no interest. Ramai Mash, thank you. Liz Jacobs, yes. Dr. Chatora, Pardon Madans. So the whole team is here. We're supposed to talk about the act. And Ramai, you didn't give us direction. Dr. Debson Chatora, Pardon Madanzi, Melody, you didn't give us direction on the act. Did any one of you read the act? Foreman says one-on-one. Why do we need one-on-one foreman? We have already reached how many people so far? Let's use social media Ramai, what did you think of the act? Ramai, what did you think of the act? Liz, what did you think of the act? Carlton Brown, thanks. What did you think of the act? Okay. So can we agree that we do it tomorrow so that we can close the discussion now? Just please, I implore you, never allow another man or woman to substitute you without your knowledge and consent, to create a crisis. Give Jitengu. People don't feel protected anymore. Nobody protects you. Even Julius Caesar could not cheat death. What is inevitable is death. What is not predictable is when it comes. But use your life for good. What about African Union Agenda 2063? African Union is a grouping of countries. How many countries have taken independence to be their own instead of the people? How many heads of state actually think countries are independent when countries don't need independence? What was the promise of independence if not to give the individual the right to exercise the free will inherent in life? Chiwenga, Jefferson Mgwagwa, Chiwenga is saying to the people of Zimbabwe that he is exceptional, that he is a custodian, he is a stockholder, that the stock called Zimbabwe, with its inventory, the people, that the Bank of Zimbabwe containing all the treasures created outside men that were given common to all of us, including the people born in it. Chiwenga says that the Zimbabwe that you dream of is not the Zimbabwe that he is in mind of. That's what he's saying. He's talking about something called colonialism. I don't even know that there's a shared understanding of what colonialism is. I don't know what it is. 38 years later, he still talks about colonialism. He's talking about protecting ZANU-PF, this creature called ZANU-PF, humanly created. And he's giving it life in the statement. And he's saying it must be protected at all costs. That the government of Zimbabwe, your government, is subservient to this grouping of individuals, that whose membership we don't even know. And imagine ZANU-PF membership could be even less than 100,000. And it is this group that Chiwenga is saying must govern. How many people went to the war? How many are remaining? If you have the net balance, the net asset value of this war veteran narrative, you may find it only reading 2,000, maybe 10,000 people. Now the whole country must be held hostage or held to ransom by this class of 1,000 people or 10,000 people. And then not really about the country, but saving the interest and the military's position. Ladies and gents, we have heard again and again, no democrats for Zimbabwe in general. They only salute war credential candidates, nobody else. That's what Chiwenga is saying. Is he pissing in the wind? The answer is no. Grace said, thank you. Giovannis, thank you. Zimbabwe problem needs all of us. Zimbabwe is poor or rich, able or disabled. We must unite for a cause. It is good Chiwenga spoke, but on whose side? I can say he felt his position threatened and that of his colleagues. Therefore, now they will try to please people to gain support. Then thereafter, we will become second citizens again. Our police and soldiers will respect them, but they have failed to defend our rights as enshrined in the Constitution. Instead, chose to defend the system, but looted and destroyed our nation. Okay, I'll close with the Declaration of Independence. Wilson Chadomba first. The second sentence of the Declaration says, we hold this truth to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights. The right to life, the right to liberty, and the right to pursue happiness. Self-evident. We hold this truth to be self-evident that Chiwenga is human. It's one of us. That Chiwenga, it doesn't have high-heeled shoes to make him taller than us, to become artificial, to become supernormal, to become this extraordinary, exceptional human being who cannot die. Because if he dies, what is going to happen to Zimbabwe? So let's frame the question correctly. If Chiwenga were to die, based on his press statement, what would become of all of us? Should we die with him? Should we follow him to the grave? What is he saying about all the men and women who exuded power in the history of human civilization, only to lose it because they could not cheat death? What is Chiwenga saying about Zimbabweans, about the human beings who call themselves Zimbabweans? What is he saying to them? That he came from a special womb, then was ordained to go to the struggle so that he alone could have proprietary rights over the fruits of it? What is Chiwenga saying in simple language? So this I leave with you. Don't ask the question the day after tomorrow. Ask it tomorrow. Ask it yesterday. That Chiwenga, are you human like me? If you are, where are these crazy ideas coming from? What informs them? Because we want to get to the root of it. We want to dig deeper to discover what is it that is in his mind that would compel him to write 4 pages if he wrote them. To what end? To prove what? Then what? After that, is he happy today that he has pissed off the people who have given him uniforms so that he doesn't wear his own suit? So, I feel the people we put in power should be working hard to improve the economy, and revive the collapsed infrastructure. It's a pity how the situation is at the moment. It is heavy that these people are taking time to flex their egos. Mafia family versus the junta. So I think the economy has been telling. Have you ever heard Mnangagwa or Chiwenga saying anything about differences with Mugabe about how the economy must be handled? If you have heard them say something, please let's compile it and put it into a story of the last 38 years. Spot Chiwenga differing with Mugabe on policies, principles, values about what kind of Zimbabwe he wants to see. Please spot Mnangagwa saying anything about something that matters to you. Please search, Google, find his words. Let's talk to him. So on that note, I will let's you can
pachipamwe hama dzangu pachipamwe mwakati benzi bvunza rakanaka ndaide kubvunzawo kuti kwende kuhondo kuti anhu azotonga ere ukaende kuhondo uri musoja unonga urude kuzoite kutonga ere ndiri kuone dambudziko rekuti asina kwende kuhondo asi akatonge nyika ba ende anonga akaende hondo acho haaperi nhasi ba zvinotode century yese kuti anhu awo aperi akaende kuhondo saka chero dai mukanyafunda sei hamufi mwakatonga ba kusiya kwekuti mwakamboende kumagigaba iyo kuhondo ndokunozozi right akabvedza pasi aya tainga nawo kuhondo aya uyu akazoridze futi yakadai wanga akashinga maningi ya obva azi ngaatonge nyika ino izvozvi nyika ngeana adoko endai mwofunda handi kuti nyengedzera asi zviri nani takazotofundawo tochitobatsirawo kuticha nekurima-rimawo but pekurima pacho panogona kushupa futi because akabve kuhondo aya ndiwo anotore minda ndozvivhure takarwira iri ya kude kundobvunzawo kuzivisana kuti zvioneke gwara razvo kuti zero raana Mnangagwa aya achikude kundotonge nyika mwana wake unozotongawo rini iye mwana waMnangagwawo ane madhigiri ake nezviro zvese unozotonga rini woti iwo ndiwo wafirwa ndiwo rubatwe maoko ndiwo rutambire chema ndiwo runyore bhuku rechema akomana auti ere ngatichigare pasi isusu afana achimbotitungamirawo isusu techishape maadvice kuti vanonga parurasikapo ita sososo amudi kuzorora mwakaita sei asharukwa chizororaiwo ana enyu chitonga isu hatitongi yedu ngoti hatizi kwendo hondo asi ana enyu ane nhodzera yehondo anogona kutonga manje ochititonga techindoenda zvakadaro ino mukaramba mundorimwe murudo uchemere kutonga dambudziko bubudi anatsangira yana ari pamubhedha anondotaura ari pamubhedha kuda kutotonga andori pamubhedha ipopo zvekuti akomana indarwara inini imwimwi chienderera mberi nemusangano sarudzanai ibona kuna asara afana aite basa mberi kwakundodakarira kundori pamubhedha kuti ndichamuka pamubhedha pano ndikaende kotonga hei akutonga kwechisimba kwakaoma nechendakafundira hangu kuti fungo ndichazotongawo apeno dangwana anata mutambara asikazikwenda hondo atawo chaunotongana tombogumirepo chidzidzo chanhasi nekubvunzana ane mhinduro ndipindureyo musatya ndipindureyo ndiziyewo pamwe kusaya kuziya kuti masoja akaende kuhondo yekusunungure nyika idea yacho ngeyekuzotonge nyika here kana ngeyekusunungurira amwe kuti azotonga anonga akangwarira pakutonga. Amen.
So that's one person's view. Hopefully you heard. And I think let's apply our minds. Let's reflect, introspect, interrogate, and share with others the questions of our time. Yes, today is Chiwenga provoking us to ask the difficult questions. Yesterday it was Mnangagwa. The day before it was Mujuru. What is the common narrative? That Mugabe is the only bad man. Yes, I think the head of the fish will always be the head. Absent the head, what remains? Not the fish. President Mugabe has to be accountable only to the things that we have exposed. Because General Chiwenga seems not to even remember the 38 years of independence. He only remembers the ills of the colonial regime. He is saying Zimbabwe will never be a colony again. What is he saying? What made him remember those words? What made him put them in bold letters? Just imagine. Zimbabwe will never be a colony again. Why would a general, 38 years after independence, having been paid by the government of Zimbabwe, then talk about colonialism? The people who were relevant in the Rhodesian administration, I believe most of them are dead today. If they are not dead, they are useless to be able to be useful in the project that General Chiwenga is talking about. So where are these people coming from? These colonialists who would want to colonize Zimbabwe in the state it is in. Yes, people will come as they must come to look for the treasures that were created and given to all who live in Zimbabwe. I don't have to be black to find gold. I don't have to be anything. But we live in a country where a general has arrogated to himself the power to be something. President Mugabe is already leading American people to learn, and he will guide his people and youth. He is very wise and skilled. I don't know which American people Carlton is talking about. But what I'm saying is that let us be vigilant. Let us not allow generals to pontificate, hallucinate, and forget who Zimbabwe belongs to. I leave you with those words. It's your country. It's your responsibility. And we have a Bill of Rights associated with the rights are responsibilities to limit the powers of generals. Because a general offends. The more you read the Bible, the more you know its author. That's Grace's words. You missed my question, Omawere. I asked if Chiwenga can be fired. I asked if Chiwenga can be fired, what the repercussions are. No repercussions. He is already working on a contract, I think month to a month. I think the repercussions are based on you. There are people who are celebrating that Chiwenga has got balls. They are not celebrating that Chiwenga has been in the ship called the Titanic that has been sinking while the general was there, drinking cognac, drinking whiskey. So, the president has the power to dismiss him. And we must keep on encouraging the narrative that is already prevalent and pervasive, that Chiwenga is spoiling for a fight with Mugabe. That's what Mugabe wants to hear. You remember the boos, the booing that got Mugabe's adrenaline up. And you can imagine who organized the booing. I don't think Mnangagwa knew the booing because he couldn't be that stupid to arrange booing and present himself at a function where they are booing. So the people who booed, you may be surprised that they were managed. It was part of a big project. And Mnangagwa was there like a fool, not knowing that that boo was the last boo. That there was actually an arrangement. That I boo on Saturday. They boo on Saturday, the Mapostori will boo on Sunday. But boo in a positive manner. But Mnangagwa is trying to recover from that. I think he's trying to understand who was booing. They think, how could a person be so stupid? Arrange people to boo, then attend the booing, and then get fired for booing. And that sounds like a good movie. But there are not good movies in Zimbabwe anymore. So just be rest assured, somebody could have arranged the booing. So, Chiwenga, yes, can be fired. It's not a... He saves at the mercy like Mnangagwa of Mugabe. So keep on encouraging that Chiwenga was booing Mugabe. And that was the nature of the statement. Keep on interpreting the statement to mean that it was like a boo. Mugabe is... just keep on encouraging Mugabe that Chiwenga is challenging your boss. Then you see what happens. The boo brigade put ET out of office. Yeah, that's the correct description, Oliver. The Boer Brigade could be part of G40 if there's a G40. And they knew that this man, the only way to make him smell in front of Mugabe, let's boo him. Let's boo the First Lady and give him a standing ovation. And then he ends up being seen to be challenging the big man. Yeah, the big man mentality should never have been accepted in the first place. Shinonzi Gudoguru Petamuswe Kutuadiki Wakuchke. Mugabe has failed the nation. No, we have failed the nation. We've allowed Mugabe to believe that he is anointed. We've allowed him to believe that he has all the solutions. I would have liked General Chiwenga to hit the nail on the head and tell Grace Mugabe to stop hallucinating and causing turmoil in the country. But what if the generals are the architects of turmoil? Where has been if the general was interested in the welfare of the people, wouldn't he be producing the cash that is in short supply? General should also have told Mugabe in uncertain terms that Zimbabwe is not his alone. The general is saying Zimbabwe is ours, excluding you. He is saying the president is part of Zimbabwe, except you. So we got a problem. And all these guys seem to think that Zimbabwe is private property and that they earned the right to it by the struggles. So, good night, Cliff, and good night, everybody. I think let's do this tomorrow.